Tonight, nurses at hospitals across the Spencer Gulf reconsider work bans in protest over a lack of staff. And hometown pride, one family cheering on a Crow star in tonight's do-or-die clash at Adelaide Oval.
This is Southern Cross News with Fraser Goldsworthy.
Good evening. Nurses in the Upper Spencer Gulf have agreed to temporarily halt planned industrial action over staffing levels at 3 hospitals across the region. It comes after the Health Department agreed to look into the issue, but the union says this isn't a back down.
On Monday, Southern Cross News reported nurses at Wyatt, Port Augusta and Port Pirie hospitals were threatening action in protest over a lack of staff. After an Industrial Relations Commission hearing, Country Health agreed to examine the issue. In return, the Nurses Union has suspended a planned work ban for now.
Reserve their right to re-implement that action in the event that it becomes apparent that Country Health South Australia is not genuinely negotiating.
A phone hookup was held between the 3 hospitals earlier this week. The Nurses Union says local nurses are concerned about their moral and legal obligations towards patients. There was also pressure to work overtime.
They really are left with very little option when they are asked.
While a hospital staff involved in the action have received the support of their local MP, who says he has concerns about the health of operations.
A constituent approached me, and during her pregnancy, she saw 8 different obstetricians here in Wyatt.
Mr Hughes will meet new Health Minister Peter Malinowskis next week to talk about services. He says the hospital should be looking at reducing their reliance on private professionals.
Whether the hospital employ their own doctors.
Country Health is being warned. The clock is ticking.
Can the nurses continue to work under this unrelenting, pressured environment? And I think the answer to that is clearly no.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The Public Service Association is calling for a ban on smoking inside SA prisons, saying guards are sick and tired of inhaling second-hand smoke. Regional prisons in Port Lincoln and Port Augusta are among others in the state with no bans on smoking. South Australia is the only Australian jurisdiction which still allows the practice in prisons. The union is calling on the new Corrections Minister, Chris Picton, to implement a timeframe for the ban. Adelaide Uni architecture students have unveiled their public installation to bring new life to an unused space in Port Augusta. The City in the Mirror concept has converted a disused gravel car park into a visual feature to reflect the surrounding historical buildings.
Having just 3 days to pull this idea from paper to reality, these architecture students have transformed a drab, uninteresting space. A car park in Port Augusta is hosting City in the Mirror, a project reflecting their studies.
Of course, when we arrived here, we didn't know which one was the project that was going to be selected. So that's even an additional difficulty on the overall situation.
A simple combination of water and black plastic, the old courthouse has been given new life. 16 students worked tirelessly on the project, plastering the city with these posters and working out in the sun.
Learn a lot from this project because that is very practical project, and then you can learn a lot, I think.
The weather conditions were also very harsh. We had 3 days with very sunny, very warm weather. We were not expecting that, to work under the sun for 3 days.
The coloured boats are proving a success, each colour representing a different feeling.
My colour code is put into the water, and it's like a boat, and you can see a different kind of colour immediately and directly, and you can know what's the people's feeling about the city. It's really direct.
It seems the community has mixed feelings, but all were enjoying the event and the change of scenery.
Many of them have had that opportunity to bring a process from conception, from thinking, from the theoretical idea, down all the way to a realization.
Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
An apprentice painter from Port Pirie has taken out the top prize at a regional work skills competition, knocking out other participants from the Spencer Gulf. And it seems winning the gong has become a little tradition for the local business.
It seems Wesley Wyatt certainly knows the trick of the trade. The work skills competition, known in industry circles as the Olympics of Skills, allows apprentices to showcase their abilities to a panel of experts.
First time they've ever had enough to have a second group of regionals out of Australia, and that's the one that Wesley won, so he's the World Skills State Regional Champion.
It came as a shock to the 19-year-old with no previous painting or decorating experience. Wesley had never imagined taking out the award.
I get to go to Sydney to compete in the Nationals June next year. And then if you win at the Nationals, you can go to Russia and compete in the international competition.
He's following in the footsteps of other apprentices at the local business, as well as his boss, Michael Butler, who won the award 20 years ago.
We've had 2 previous Apprentices of the Year, and now Wesley's won this state award, so that's he's doing a very good job of trying to emulate those lads.
Wesley's been painting for nearly 2 years and is halfway through completing his apprenticeship.
Pride myself on my work, so I'm happy that I won the award.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
Still to come in tonight's local news, Port Lincoln's Spring Racing Carnival gets underway. Details next. Welcome back. A leading tourism expert says Whyalla has the potential to lure more visitors, but the town is lacking in one crucial tool. Council and local operators are being encouraged to improve signage across town to help attract more people to the city.
Between our cuttlefish, dolphins and Wild Dog Hill, Whyalla has many unique natural attractions right on our doorstep. It's enough to have industry-leading experts convinced the city is a must-visit destination for holidaymakers.
This is so beautifully different, and it's readily accessible with a great highway and 7 flights a day coming into Whyalla from Adelaide. It's perfect.
Mr. Barradale spoke to local businesses at a tourism focus group function this morning, and while he loves the sights, he says the city lacks a clear pathway to most of its attractions.
For the first-time tourist, which I was, visitor, yesterday, there is no signage.
He says Whyalla Council and local operators need to work together to improve signage and promotion in town. Otherwise, the town's attractions will go unnoticed.
That's absolutely key for people to feel that this is a community that cares, that really wants people to come and experience their town.
Local business representatives agree.
Families live away, they come to visit people in our facilities and would be spending money in our community.
John Hunt, Southern Cross News.
The first wave of payments to around 2,000 creditors owed money from collapsed steel company Arium has been released by administrators. $500 million has been made available following the handover of the Whyalla Steelworks to British consortium GFG Alliance 3 weeks ago. It represents 10 cents in the dollar for those owed money, with payments expected to be completed next month. 2 further payments of around 2.5 cents in the dollar will be made in December and later next year following the sale of assets. A lack of properly maintained footpaths across Port Pirie is causing concern for council. It's seeking feedback from the public on which paths need urgent attention, as well as where new ones should be built throughout the community.
Rocky, potholed footpaths. It's a common sight across the town. Complaints about the poor state of some paths, combined with the lack of them at other parts across the town, has sparked a decision by council to prioritise an upgrade.
Seeking feedback from the community on their views on where they would like to see footpaths improved or where they'd like to see new footpaths built.
Uneven, cracked sidewalks is causing a tripping hazard for many. Others say they're being forced to step off the footpaths due to the lack of pram ramps, causing problems for people in wheelchairs pushing a pram or riding a bike.
Pram ramps are an important part of making sure that the footpaths can be connected, and so certainly where pram ramps are missing to enable people to cross the road, it's a very important part of what we're looking at as well.
It's hoped high traffic areas of Port Pirie will receive upgrades first.
shopping areas, schools, aged care, and look at where the linkages need to be between those various sites.
Locals interested in having their say in which areas should be upgraded are being urged to contact council.
People do have immediate maintenance needs, so they do contact our customer service areas to report those maintenance issues so they can be resolved straight away.
Rachel Nell, Southern Cross News.
The first meeting of the Spring Racing Carnival has gotten underway in Port Lincoln. Recent upgrades to the track has allowed races to be seen on television around the nation, and operators say they're more than pleased with the turnout.
And they're off. Horse racing is back in Port Lincoln for the spring season opener, and organisers couldn't be happier.
We've been very fortunate this week with kind weather, and the track's dried out really well, and as you can see, it looks an absolute picture. It's a credit to our curator.
Today's warm weather came as a relief to those at the club, with preparations for this day taking months.
Well, it's really a 3-month process for horses that have been spelling through the winter to get fit for the first race, so it's a long process for the trainers, and they put a lot of work into preparing their horses for the first meeting.
It won't be just patrons trackside who get to enjoy the races. Those choosing to enjoy the experience from home will now be able to see it in better quality than ever before.
We've had a complete digital upgrade at the course, so that now for patrons on course in any of our facilities, they have a complete high-definition experience.
A first of its kind this season will cater to families. The little bird cage taking a leaf out of popular Melbourne racecourses.
It's an area set aside for children to do various activities, craft activities and so forth, and there's TV in there as well for them to watch different things during the course of the day.
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
When we return after the break, hometown pride as the family of a Crow star get ready to cheer him on in tonight's finals clash. Welcome back. The family of Crow star Eddie Betts says they'll be anxiously watching on from his hometown in Port Lincoln as the boys play in tonight's do-or-die final against Geelong. Eddie's grandmother, Vida, has donned her lucky Eddie's Pocket t-shirt to bring the boys good luck.
As the Crows take to the Adelaide Oval in tonight's blockbuster final against the Cats, one family 600 kilometres away will be cheering every second, especially when number 18 gets the ball.
I'm hoping he will kick a few goals from the pocket.
Eddie Sr. and grandmother Vida will be anxiously watching the Crows from Port Lincoln, Eddie Betts' hometown, hoping Adelaide can break their grand final drought for the first time in 19 years. But just to make sure, Vida has worn her lucky t-shirt signed by the players, including another one of her favourites.
Sloan. Gotta have him on, man.
She's hoping her grandson will play a big role, starring from his famous pocket.
Bloody hell, he will kick through them goals tonight.
Eddie's father says they're overwhelmed by the support they've received and is looking forward to speaking to his son before he takes the field tonight.
Give him a call and wish him luck, and football club, Adelaide Football Club, wish to all the boys get over the hurdle tonight.
If the Crows win, the Betts family will be making the journey to the MCG next week.
My heart be that pounding. Yes, it'll be really pounding. So we will all be there for him.
But they have to win tonight, and Crow supporters, including the Betts household, will be behind them, hoping they can.
They'll make it, because it's the year of the Crow. Go Crows!
Jason Kemp, Southern Cross News.
Meantime, footy teams here in the Spencer Gulf are raring to go ahead of the big grand final at Port Augusta's Central Oval tomorrow. South Augusta is vying for a back-to-back premiership against near-unbeaten Solomon Town.
The Bulldogs are well aware of what tomorrow's grand final could mean. They'll be either the first back-to-back SGL premiers in 13 years or more roadkill from Solly's unbeaten streak. South Augusta's coach says the team's been building up for the day over the season.
We started fairly slowly, to tell you the truth. And that's probably because, struggled to get people out of training, but as the year's gone on, we've progressed well, and we've made the grand final, which is good.
And their tactic tomorrow?
Be competitive around the ball, get quick ball movement and make sure we don't turn the ball over at crucial times.
With the teams clashing twice this season, earning them both a win, it could go either way.
Obviously, South Augusta will have the home ground advantage in the fact it's being played in Port Augusta. But yeah, we've played them twice up there this year and it's one apiece, so that pretty much cancels itself out. So yeah, looking forward to the contest.
He credits their winning streak to the pre-season conditioning.
Started with a really big pre-season where Solly's went out and recruited a fitness coach in Kim Arbin, who's a former Madigan medalist and played for Solly's and Ports, and he's played a really big role in the fitness that the boys have been able to bring to the season.
Yeah, Solly's used the ball well. You know, they're a very fit side. You know, Polly's done a really good job with them this year, and they've come a long way. You know, I think they finished bottom last year, and then to make a grand final. But they're a side that's always up and down. So yeah, they'll be all right. They'll be a good side. But
there's no denying footy fever is at its peak around Port Augusta, with dozens of Crows fans making the trek down to Adelaide Oval for the clash with Geelong tonight.
Oh, you're going to lose. You're going down this time. We've beat them once in Adelaide and we'll beat them again.
It's going to be a fairly hard game, I think, because there's two good teams in there, so it could favour us a little bit, having a hometown advantage.
The SGL Premier will be crowned from 2:40 p.m. tomorrow. Amelia Simpson, Southern Cross News.
All right, Len, let's see what our experts are thinking this week. Time for footy tips.
Hello and welcome to the grand final edition of SEO Football Tips. It's going to be a huge day up in Port Augusta this Saturday. The action gets underway at 9 with Central and Port in the under-15s, followed by the same two sides in the under-18s starting at 10:30. The seconds is next with South and Solly's at 12:30. Then it's the big one with South and Solly in the league match at 2:40. These two have been the best two sides all year, and this match should be a beauty. South took the easy path to the final with a big win over Solly in the qualifying final, with Solly's needing to use their double chance coming through last week's preliminary final. Solly's will have learnt some lessons from that qualifying final and will be ready for South this time. South are gunning for back-to-back flags and know what it takes to get the job done on these occasions. Both sides are full of talent and there should be some good football on show in near-perfect conditions. South's performance in the qualifying final will give them confidence, and Solly's have been the best side all year and will start slight favourites. I'm tipping Solly's. And finally, good luck to all teams playing tomorrow.
Welcome to Port Lincoln Footy Tips and the grand final. And what an exciting final series it's been, with all three games being won by under a goal. This week, we have Waybacks, who went straight through to the grand final, and Marble Range, who have come from third, also to play in the grand final. It's hard to split these two teams apart. Both have won 12 games for the year. Head-to-head, Wayback have 2 wins, Marble Range 1. My tip is, if Marble Range is going to win, they're going to need Tyne and Keeley to kick a big bag, and one of the others also to kick a big bag. The head might be saying Waybacks, but the heart's saying Marble Range. It's been 10 years since they've won a premiership, and I'm tipping Marble Range by 2 goals.
Yeah, good luck to both teams, and we'll have a full wrap-up of the results from the finals from our reporters next week. Weather time now, and all sorts of weather on the way for the weekend, Nicole.
Yeah, that's right, Fraser. A bit of a mix this weekend. I'll have all the details next. Welcome back to the weather now. We're cruising into the weekend after a very warm day right across the region, hitting 35 degrees in Port Augusta and only slightly cooler in Whyalla for 34. Broken Hill and Port Pirie reaching 33 degrees and almost cracking the 30s in Adelaide today, a top of 29. To the satellite now, cloud over the southeast of the state associated with the tail end of a front is bringing a few showers. On the Gulf waters, winds will be west-norwesterly up to 30 knots, seas up to 2.5 metres, and sunrise a bit later this morning at 6:15, sunset at 6:20. Looking like a good day to go for a bit of a swim in Port Augusta tomorrow for 29 degrees. Even warmer in Broken Hill for 35, but a bit of a change across the rest of the region. Showers expected in Port Lincoln, Clare and Kadina, seeing a top of 21. Looking ahead now, some much needed rain on the way for Port Lincoln over the weekend. Finding up Monday though, windy for 22 in Cleve tomorrow with sunny skies Sunday. A bit warmer in Woodena for 24 to kick off the weekend. Reaching 26 in Whyalla before dropping down to 21 Sunday. Really starting to see it warm up in Port Augusta, hitting 32 on Tuesday. Showers on the way for Kadina. And firefighters will be on the lookout in Port Pirie tomorrow, windy for a top of 26 degrees, showers in Clare for 22 before dipping down to 15 degrees, a top of 35 in Broken Hill tomorrow, finishing off the weekend with a top of 24. So a bit of much needed rain on the way for some places, Fraser, otherwise it's going to be a dry and hot weekend.
Very hot indeed. Thanks, Nicole. And that is Southern Cross News for the working week. Thanks for your company. I'll have updates a little later, but until then, have a great weekend and enjoy the footy. Go the Crows. Good night.